Happy Halloween, everyone! Since this is spooky season, I thought I would take a look at a spooky movie. But since this is Exploitation Reviews, the spooky movie is about a ghost who, he likes to be, intimate with a woman, but he doesn't ask for permission. Welcome to Exploitation Reviews, and me, Rob, and today I'm taking a look at The Entity from 1982. This movie is based on a book by the same name from 1978, and the book is based on a true story, the Doris Bither case, aka The Entity Haunting from 1974. Yeah, according to Doris Bither, this actually happened. Now, I don't believe in the supernatural, but you don't have to in order to appreciate this rather intense and scary movie. And if you do believe in the supernatural, well, this movie might even be more intense and scarier. So I'm a little bit jealous you get those extra shivers. Ooh. So let's check it out. After racing from work to her typing class in the credits, Carla makes her way home and checks on her kids. The two younger ones are fast asleep, and the older one is in the garage. She gives him an earful about leaving the house a mess, but she's not overly angry. Perhaps she realizes that he's just a kid himself, and babysitting the two younger kids is a big help to her. We'll find out soon that she's a single mom. And then, that night, while she's getting ready for bed, Carla is attacked by someone. Except there's no one there. She screams, and all the kids come running in to check on her, and finding no one in the room, the oldest boy suggests it was just a dream. But then after the kids leave the room, things in the room start to shake rather violently, and she's convinced it's not a dream, so she packs up the kids, puts them in the car, and drives over to a friend's house who puts them all up for the night. The next morning, Carla tells her friend that she was attacked, and not just slapped around, but the attacker had some grape soda. And the weird thing was, after it was over, he disappeared, just evaporated like he was some sort of ghost. A grape ghost. Yeah, you know, like from the show. Grape ghost, he's got something to give. Grape ghost, he knows where you live. Grape ghost, you can't tell him no, because Grape ghost is ready to go. Grape Ghost from the makers of VeggieTales. Ooh, yeah. My wife asked me not to include that joke as part of the show, but it's important to note that it's not a joke about assault. It's a joke about how self-censoring to appease advertisers is so much worse than just speaking like an adult. So there you go, advertisers. I hope you're happy. I didn't say any words you don't like, and I'm sure your customers will love my little cartoon. Anyway, Carla's friend suggests that Carla see a psychiatrist. The husband of the friend isn't too keen on having Carla and her kids in the house, so Carla packs them all up, and she leaves and goes back to her own house. And that night, Carla's friend comes over to stay with her to make sure she's okay. Well, she's good people. And the next day, when driving to work, the entity takes over Carla's car, and he's not a great driver. This experience prompts Carla to see a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist is also good people and seems to really want to help Carla. Later that night, Carla draws a bath, and oh man, I remember Mr. Bubble. I mean, I grew up pretty poor, so we didn't have it very often, but when we did, we felt fancy. Carla is about to feel very unfancy, though, because this attack leaves Carla with some rather nasty bruises and bite marks, and she shows them to her psychiatrist, but he is not convinced that she didn't do it to herself. But Carla is open to the possibility that this is all in her head and she needs psychiatric care. She's willing to do anything just to make this stop, and she's pretty open-minded. But that night she's attacked again, this time in front of her family, and during the attack, her son's wrist is broken, and this pretty much dispels the idea, in Carla's mind at least, that this is all in her head. The team of psychiatrists, however, is still not convinced, which is understandably frustrating for Carla. But things are about to look up for Carla because her friend starts to believe her after seeing the entity smash some windows and break some things in the house. And the two go to a bookshop where they meet a pair of parapsychologists. They are, at first, skeptical as well, until they aren't. And they agree to try to help Carla. So, finally, Carla is not alone, people believe her, people are trying to help her, and that's enough out of me as far as plot goes. Let's talk some highlights. Barbara Hershey is fantastic as Carla. This is a really great horror film performance. And a brave one. It could not have been easy to play this role. It's both physically and emotionally intense, and she nails it. It's one of my favorite horror performances. It's right up there with Toni Collette's performance in Hereditary. And aside from Barbara Hershey, the rest of the cast is pretty solid too. Her friend, her doctor, they're all fine. And her boyfriend, played by Alex Rocco, is great. He's not in the movie very much. He's a traveling salesman or something, so he's gone through most of the film's story. But when he shows up, he's great. Oh, and if that name, Alex Rocco, sounds familiar to you, you probably are remembering him from Russ Meyer's Motorcycle. Or maybe The Godfather. Maybe. I also really like the music in this, especially when the entity attacks. That song is just this relentless and unnerving banging, which, if you think about it, does make a lot of sense. Finally, there's some really cool special effects in this movie, and I can't show them to you, but Alex Rocco can explain what we see.
Like something is pressing her. It's pushing her. I see her breast being touched. I see her breast being squeezed by fingers, only I can't see the fingers.
And I'm not even entirely sure how they achieved this effect. I guess maybe it's a fake body of some sort, and they rigged it to kind of pull it down to make it look like the invisible fingers are pushing in. I'm not sure, but it looks really convincing. But all that being said, the movie's not perfect. Like it goes to... I'm not going to finish that sentence. This film has some shortcomings. Well, the film is too long. It comes in at 2 hours and some change, and it really doesn't need to be 2 hours and some change. They could have trimmed 20 or 30 minutes out of this thing, and it would have been fine. I guess if they trimmed it a bit, it would have felt more like a horror film and maybe less like a drama, but I would have been fine with that. Beyond that, though, I don't really have a lot to complain about. This is a quite effective horror film, and I do recommend it if you think you can handle it. It does go to some pretty dark places. It's got some pretty dark subject matter, but if those kinds of things don't, bother you too much, check it out.